जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारिया यमुना तीरा वनचारिया जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 जय राधा काला चंदी श्री राधे जय जय राधा गोविंद श्री राधे जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 26. Before that, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 26. Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhir Edhamana Madhapuman Naivar Hatyabhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhir Edhamana Madhapuman Naivar Hatyabhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhir Edamana Madhapuman Naivarhatyabhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. Rudy, you want to recite? Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhir Edhamana Madhapuman Naivarhatyabhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. Any Matajis? Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhir Edhamana Madhapuman Naivarhatyabhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. Word to word meaning: Janma, birth; Aishwarya, opulence; Shruta, education; Shribhi, by the possession of beauty; Edhamana, progressively increasing; Madaha, intoxication; Puman, the human being; Na, never; Eva, so Eva, ever; Arhati, deserves; Abhidhatum, to address in feeling; Vai, certainly; Tvam, you; Akinchana Gocharam, one who is approached easily by the materially exhausted man. So translation and purport: by His divine grace, Srila Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation is as follows: My Lord, your lordships can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. Purport: being materially advanced means taking birth in an aristocratic family and possessing great wealth, and education and attractive personal beauty. All materialistic men are mad after possessing all these material opulences, and this is known as the advancement of material civilization. But the result is that by possessing all these material assets, one becomes artificially puffed up, intoxicated by such temporary possessions. Consequently, such materially puffed up persons are incapable of uttering the holy name of the Lord by addressing him feelingly. O Govinda, O Krishna. It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering the holy name of the Lord, the sinner gets rid of a quantity of sins that he is unable to commit. Such is the power of uttering the holy name of the Lord. There is not the least exaggeration in this statement. Actually, the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency. But there is a quality to such utterances also. It depends on the quality of feeling. The helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name is in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. A materially puffed up person may utter the holy name of the Lord occasionally, but he is incapable of uttering the name in quality. Therefore, the four principles of material advancement, namely high parentage, good wealth, high education, and attractive beauty, are, so to speak, disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancement. The material covering of the pure spirit soul is an external feature, as much as fever is an external feature of the unhealthy body. The general process is to decrease the degree of the fever and not to aggravate it by maltreatment. Sometimes it is seen that spiritually advanced persons become materially impoverished. This is no discouragement. On the other hand, such impoverishment is a good sign as much as the falling of temperature is a good sign. The principle of life should be to decrease the degree of material intoxication, which leads one to be more and more illusioned about the aim of life. Grossly illusioned persons are quite unfit for entrance into the kingdom of God. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So in this verse, Kunti Maharani, while offering her prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she is stating that who is qualified and who is not qualified to see Krishna. And she clearly says that Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shribhir Edamana Madha Puman. So she says four things: high respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty. Those who have this, they are not able to sincerely call out to Krishna. And therefore, someone who is materially exhausted, he can make a rapid spiritual advancement. So, we have to understand here that Krishna is important in, Krishna sees our intentions. what are our intentions are. So we have to understand that it is not that only all poor people in this world are qualified to get the Supreme Lord and all the rich people are disqualified. That is not the point here. But the point here is not to be proud of one's possessions and not to be proud of one's wealth, education and beauty or high birth. And therefore the word madaha is used. Madaha means intoxication. Those who are intoxicated by high parentage, high education and bodily beauty and their opulence, wealth, those who are intoxicated with pride, they cannot get the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We see highest parentage people in this world are pride of their birth, especially in India. People are so proud of being born in a Brahmin family. They are just born in the Brahmin family. By birth they are Brahmins, but by activities they are not at all Brahmins. In fact, it is said that Kalau Shudra Sambhava. In Kali Yuga, everybody is a Shudra. And if one wants to become a Brahman, then one becomes a Brahman not by birth, but by their qualifications. Just like a son of a doctor doesn't become a doctor from birth. He has to go to the school, get proper education, and that's when, once he is qualified, then he can become a doctor. So qualification to become a doctor is required. Similarly, if someone is born in a high parentage in a Brahminical family, he should not think proud of himself just because he is born in a Brahmin family or in a respectable high parentage family. He has to be qualified to be in that family. So that is when people are proud of their high birth. Then about their wealth, their great opulence. We have to understand that whatever wealth we have today, all of that wealth is going to go away. All of the money is going to stay here after our death. Whatever money we have earned till now, all of that money, either money will be taken away from us or we will leave money. One of the two things will happen, for sure. There is no third. Only these two things will happen. Either money will be snatched away from us because of theft or because of some, by our relatives, or it will be taken away from us, or at the time of death, we will leave money and go. And it will be used, anyways, it is going to be used by somebody else. So that wealth which doesn't belong to us, why are we so proud of it? A devotee sees wealth or money, that this money, all of the money belongs to Krishna. Krishna is Lakshmi Kanta. He is the husband of Lakshmi. So all of the wealth, everything we have belongs to Krishna. But till the time we have this propensity to enjoy the wealth, be the enjoyer, be the controller, proprietors and enjoyers in this material world, because of the wealth or beauty or high parentage, if we think ourselves to be better than others, then that displeases Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. That I am Bhoktaram, I am the proprietor, controller, and I am the seed-giving father, or I am the seed-giving father and friend of all the living entities, Krishna says. So if he is the proprietor, he is even the proprietor of the wealth that we have. Whatever money that we have today in our bank account, all of that money, all of that wealth belongs to Krishna. So there is no question of being intoxicated by the wealth that we have with us today. Because anyways, that wealth doesn't belong to us. That wealth belongs to Krishna. And we have to use that wealth in Krishna's service. And as far as beauty is concerned, those who are intoxicated or proud of their beauty, how long will this beauty is going to last anyways? For a certain number of years, someone might be very handsome or beautiful, but we see as soon as people hit their 60s or 70s, they lose their beauty in their old age. There is no reason for us to be so attached to this body, which is filled with bile and mucus and stool and urine. And then some people are proud of their education. Oh, I have done my MTech or PhD from MIT or from IIT in India or from prestigious colleges, and people are proud of their education. But even education doesn't please Krishna. We know in Chaitanya Charitamrita the pastime of Keshav Kashmiri. Keshav Kashmiri was such a great scholar. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing his pride, Mahaprabhu was not pleased with his scholarship. He was not pleased with him being such a scholar because he was proud. And Mahaprabhu crushed his pride by defeating him in a debate, showing us that no matter how educated or learned you think you are, but if you have a pride of that education, Krishna will be displeased. Mahaprabhu will be displeased. So therefore, having material possessions, having education, beauty, wealth is not a problem. But being proud and being intoxicated, madaha puman, being proud of that, all these assets, that displeases Krishna. So, at the same time, we have to understand all the rich people in the world they are not disqualified to come to the Supreme Lord, and at the same time, that does not mean all the poor people are pure devotees. But our only point here is, when there are problems in life, when there are calamities, the ones who are suffering, the ones who are poor, they can take more shelter of Krishna. They can surrender more to the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. We find even in the pages of Bhagavatam the story of Gajendra, how Gajendra, who was simply enjoying with his friends and family, in a river, completely forgotten about Krishna. But when he was caught in a calamity, when he was caught in the jaws of a crocodile, that's when he helplessly called out to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the history of animals, there is no animal or no elephant. We have never seen any elephant there are so many elephants who might get caught in the jaws of a crocodile. But Gajendra was such an elephant, the king of all elephants, who, being caught in the jaws of crocodile, was able to call out to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the point is, when we are struggling, when we are caught in distress, when there are reversals in life, that is when we take shelter of Krishna the most. And that's why in the future verses, we will see that Maharani Kunti is praying, Vipadaha Santutaha Shashvat, Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru, Bhavato Darshanam Yatsyat Apunar Bhava Darshanam. She is praying that, my dear Lord, now she is praying this after going through so many reversals in her life. She is remembering that you have protected Bhima from the poison that Duryodhan gave. You protected Draupadi when she called out in the Kuru Sabha, in the front of all the generals of the Kauravas. You protected Draupadi when great sage Durvasa came to see them in the forest when they were in exile. You protected the Pandavas when they were about to be killed by the crooked plans of Duryodhan to destroy them in the fire. Every single time, Maharani Kunti is saying that Krishna has come for protection of Pandavas. And after going through all these calamities, now these are all such extreme calamities that generally people in this age, they don't face that level of extreme calamities where one's husband is taken away, one's home is set on fire, their children are being poisoned. At least in today's times, such extreme calamities are not faced by the human society. But even after going through such extreme reversals in life, Kunti Maharani is praying that Vipadaha Santutaha Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Yatsyat Apunar Bhava Darshanam. Which means, my dear Lord, please give me more and more problems in life. Because when there are calamities, when there are reversals in life, I am able to remember you, take shelter of you the most. So therefore, when there are reversals, someone who is not that matured, some people outside especially, they get angry with God that why God is giving me so many reversals. But those who are matured, those who are devotees, they always see hand of Krishna in all circumstances. And therefore they can see that actually these calamities, actually because I have out of humility, a true devotee out of humility thinks that actually I deserve so much more. But it is Krishna's mercy that Krishna is only giving a token of my punishment to me. I deserve much more, but Krishna is giving only a token of that. This is our devotee thinks. We find that even in the story of Maharaj Prataparudra in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Maharaj Prataparudra was such a great king. And then his spiritual master told him that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is not different than Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you should take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu, being a sannyasi, he didn't wanted to associate with a king like Maharaj Prataparudra. So that king, Maharaj Prataparudra, he tried to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Even so many of his associates, the ministers who were also the devotees of Mahaprabhu, they recommended him to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Mahaprabhu was not ready to accept Maharaj Prataparudra. Finally, when Maharaj Prataparudra, he decided to give up all of his kingly dress and he took up the dress of a sadhu or a mendicant, a very simple dress. And then when he went and met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's when Mahaprabhu accepted him. So the point is that he still remained the king of Jagannath Puri, Maharaj Prataprudra. But when he gave up all his material wealth, and when out of humility, in the mood of the servant of the servant of the servant, Dasa Dasanudas, when he went and met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's when Mahaprabhu accepted him. So this is important, that Mahaprabhu and Maharaj Prataprudra, they are teaching us in what mood we should approach the Supreme Lord. In the mood of servant of the servant, he approached, and that's when Mahaprabhu accepted. Even in the story in Mahaprabhu's pastimes, we find the story of Shivananda Sen, where Shivananda Sen is a grihastha, and he had all of his children, and he's taking care of them, he's working. And on the other hand, we have Sanatan Goswami, he renounced everything, and he is living in a forest. He is so much detached from this material world that he used to change living under trees. Like, he used to change trees every single day, so that not to get attached even to the trees. But for Mahaprabhu, both Shivananda Sen and Sanatan Goswami, for Mahaprabhu, he equally reciprocated with them. Why? Because although Sanatan Goswami gave up everything, like Sanatan Goswami gave up everything, he was detached and he was a pure devotee. On the other hand, Shivananda Sen, although he was in the family life, but still, Shivananda Sen used to think, because he was a devotee of Krishna, he used to think that all of the money, all of the wealth, all of my family members, all of them belong to Krishna. Nothing is mine. He connected everything with Krishna. And that's what pleasing to the Supreme Lord. That's what was most pleasing. Therefore, Krishna always sees our intentions. With what intentions we approach him. Intention is what matters the most to the Supreme Lord. Whatever service that we do, we have to check with what intentions are we doing that service. Whether that service is to whatever, let's say for example, somebody is a preacher or a mridanga player or any service, a kirtankar, or the service of maybe cooking for the Supreme Lord or making garlands of the Supreme Lord. The only intention has to be samsiddhir haritoshanam. With my service, the only intention is to please the Supreme Lord, please Krishna. If that is the intention of our service, that is when Krishna is pleased. But if our intention, if we have some mixed intention, mixed motives of gaining some fame and popularity through our service, then Krishna is not completely pleased. And when we have such anarthas in us, when we have pride of our service that we are doing, when we have pride of our wealth, of our beauty, of our education, then we cannot call out to Krishna helplessly. As Prabhupada writes in the purport, that the holy name of Krishna can be called out when they don't have such anarthas in them. And therefore even Mahaprabhu says that Trinadapi sunichena taror iva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That when someone is humble than the blade of grass or more tolerant than the tree, And then in that mood, when one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when they chant the holy name, that is what pleases him the most. But when we have all this materialistic opulence and wealth, that mood of helplessly calling out to Krishna may not rise in our heart. And therefore we find even in Mahabharata, when Draupadi was being disrobed, she helplessly called out to Krishna. She may not have called out the same way earlier when the situation was favorable. She may not have called out to that helpless call when she called when she was being disrobed. So therefore, material opulence, beauty, education, if we are proud of that, if we are intoxicated, as stated in the verse, if we are pride with intoxication, if we have the intoxication of pride, that's when those are impediments on the path of bhakti. And that's when it is a disqualification, because we are proud of all these material aspects of our life. Now let us see. Now in this verse, Krishna is talking about who is, or Maharani Kunti is talking, who is disqualified. Now let us see who are those who are qualified, whom Krishna accepted in their life. And there is one verse in the Shastra which states that, let me pull up that verse. Vyadascha charanam dhruvascha chavayo vidya gajendrasya ka kubjayam kimu nama rupam adhikam kim tat sudham no dhanam vamshaha ko vidurasya yadava pater ugrasya kim paurusham bhaktya tushyati kevalam nacha gunai bhakti priyo madhava. It is said in the Shastra that only bhakti can please Krishna. And there are examples given that if someone say that, someone who is elder, or someone who is, let's say, who has experience of life, someone who is older, someone who is very matured, he can please Krishna. If someone says like that, then where was Dhruva's maturity? Dhruva was only 5 years old, or even Prahlad, only 5 years old, but still they got Krishna because they had devotion in their heart. Dhruva got Krishna, Prahlad got Krishna at the age of 5. Then someone might say that, we have a lot of knowledge. With our knowledge we can please Krishna. We have a lot of knowledge. We have read all the Vedas and everything. And with our knowledge we can please Krishna. But where was Gajendra's knowledge? Gajendra was an elephant. But still, when he called out to the Supreme Lord personally appeared in front of him. Gajendra, an elephant. For an elephant, when he called helplessly, he offered his prayers and Supreme Lord appeared for an elephant. It is stated that when from Vaikuntha, when Supreme Lord came for Gajendra, he was flying faster than Garuda, his own carrier, just to protect his dear devotee. Did Gajendra had any knowledge of the Vedas, or was he proud of his knowledge? He didn't have any knowledge, he was an elephant, but still Supreme Lord came. Then someone might say, okay, what about beauty? I am very beautiful. Will Krishna be pleased because of my beauty? The answer is, if beauty can please Krishna, then how come Krishna uplifted our Kubja? Kubja was a hunchbacked woman in Mathura. And Krishna uplifted Kubja and gave her a very beautiful form. only because she was simply trying to serve him. Now someone might say, okay, I am very wealthy. If I give some donation to Krishna, Krishna will be pleased. No doubt, whatever wealth we have, of course, we have to donate for the Supreme Lord. No doubt about it. But if someone may say, ki, my wealth, I will please Krishna because of my wealth. But then where was Sudama's wealth? Was Sudama wealthy? But still Krishna was pleased with him. When Sudama, there is so much loving reciprocation between Krishna and Sudama, given in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. Such loving reciprocation. Krishna held the hands of Sudama, placed him on his throne, and Krishna washed the lotus feet of Sudama. Who in this world will do it? Who in this world? This is how Krishna reciprocates with his dear devotees. So Sudama was not wealthy, but still Krishna was pleased with his devotion. Now someone might say, okay, I am born in a very pious Brahminical family. Will my birth, I am born in a very high parentage. Will my birth be pleased? Will Krishna be pleased because of my birth? The answer is, if Krishna would have been pleased because of our birth, then was Vidura born in a very high parentage family? Vidura was a son of a maid servant. But still, because Vidura had devotion in his heart, Vidura pleased Krishna. We see in Mahabharata that Duryodhan invited Krishna for lunch. So when Krishna went to Hastinapur as a Shantidut, Duryodhan invited, oh Krishna, you please come and have lunch with me. But then Krishna gave two arguments. Krishna said that I go to their places if I am for lunch, if I am hungry, or if I am being lovingly called. And neither I am hungry, nor your invitation, nor you are my friend. So I cannot come to your place to have lunch. And then he goes to the house of Vidura to accept his offering. And when Vidura, the wife of the Vidura, the Vidurani, when he saw Krishna, she was so overwhelmed with joy that it is stated that she was giving banana peels to Krishna. So instead of giving the bananas, she was peeling off the bananas and throwing off the banana and giving the peels. And Krishna accepted even the peels of banana given by the Vidurani, because those peels of banana were offered with love. So this is how merciful our Supreme Lord is. If you offer him with love, Krishna will accept it. And that's what he states in the Bhagavad Gita. In 9th chapter, 26th verse, Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tad aham bhakti ruparitam ashnami prayatatmanaha. That a small leaf, water, a fruit or a flower, if being offered with devotion, Krishna says, I accept it. And this is a classic example that he accepted even the banana peels from a Vidurani. So in all these situations, we see people, Krishna accepted devotees who were not wealthy, who didn't have any beauty, who were not born in the noble birth, who didn't have any knowledge, but still, because they had devotion in their heart, Krishna accepted them. So what matters the most is the devotion. And Krishna has stated this repeatedly in the Bhagavad Gita, the glories of bhakti. Krishna says even in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that I give them the knowledge by which they can come to me. But for whom? Krishna says those who serve me with bhakti. I give them the knowledge by which they can come to me. So we are talking about knowledge. So that knowledge comes from Krishna. If we sincerely serve Krishna, He gives us all the realization, all the knowledge. Therefore we find there are so many sadhus, even today, they simply chant the holy names of Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna. And their realizations, even if they have not read Shastra, their realizations matches with the realizations of the Shastra. Because they are so calling out to Krishna's holy names, so selflessly, with a mood of the servant, and calling out to Krishna's name only for the pleasure of Krishna, sam siddhir haritoshanam. They get all their realizations in their heart. We know there is a story in Chaitanya Charitamrita where there is a Brahman who, when in his South Indian tour, when Mahaprabhu meets a Brahman who was uneducated, no education, and still he is trying to read Bhagavad Gita because his spiritual master instructed him to read Bhagavad Gita, and simply to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, he was trying to read Bhagavad Gita, although he was uneducated, he had no education. And seeing the front cover of Bhagavad Gita, he was crying. And when Mahaprabhu saw him cry, Mahaprabhu asked him that, why are you crying? That you are not able to read, like he is not able to read Bhagavad Gita, but still he had tears in his eyes. And he said, the Brahmana said, when asked by Mahaprabhu, the Brahman said that I am crying simply because I am seeing that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is completely independent, who is Abhigya Swarat, who is the cause of all causes, who is the father of all fathers, from whom all incarnations emanate, that Supreme Personality of Godhead is ready to become the chariot driver of Arjuna. He is ready to become the servant of his devotee. Just by seeing this, just by reading this Brahmana had tears in his eyes. And when Mahaprabhu saw his devotion, Mahaprabhu said, you don't need to read this Bhagavad Gita. You have all the realizations that someone will have after reading the Gita. So therefore, to conclude, whatever wealth or beauty, education or high birth that we may have, when we see that as the blessing of Krishna, when we see that all of that, whatever opulence, whatever wealth, beauty I have, if we see that as a blessing of Krishna and see that in connection to Krishna, and use whatever knowledge we have, whatever facilities we have in His service, sam siddhir haritoshanam, rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate, sarvopadir vinirmukta tat paratvena nirmalam, rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. When we use our senses in Krishna's service, giving up all of our designations, that all of our whatever we are proud of, that I am a doctor, I am an engineer, I am a male, female, or I am a Brahman or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or Shudra, giving up all of those designations, when we engage our senses in service of Krishna, that is when Krishna will be pleased with us. And that is what is called as bhakti, according to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So that's the point, or that's the main message of this particular verse. So at this point, I would like to stop here. If there were any mistakes, please feel free to correct me, so that in my next attempt to do some service, I will improve myself and serve in a better way. So we stop here. Do we have any questions or comments or any improvements? Yes, Prabhu, Ashwini Kumar Prabhu, you want to speak something? Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your blessings. Yes, Prabhu, you want to say something? Okay, so can we stop here? Can we stop for the day? ओके, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।